host, Erica Nichole Mason, joined by my co-host, Leonard Cade.
Whatever. I don't need people knowing the government. I don't need people knowing the government. But Leonard, whatever. Whatever. You can call me whatever. You can call me whatever.
Alongside me tonight is my beautiful, wonderful, actually my birthday friend.
Hi.
Jolon.
Hi, guys.
Hey, birthday friend.
We are live streaming tonight from the CA. Leo is joining us in from the ATL. Tonight's discussion is on finance and gender roles. Interestingly, women are dominating in this modern day, running circles in circles in circles in circles in circles. I'm not going to say around whom.
Right.
So tonight Leo's going to feel a little outnumbered.
Right.
But yeah, we're gonna go on ahead and just have a fun, well-rounded discussion. My first question is, how important is it to share finances when you are in a committed relationship? I know nowadays the marriage rate is down.
Tremendously.
And a lot of individuals are dating, whether you are dating or, in an exclusive relationship or even married. How important is it to share finances and bank accounts?
Well, for me, in my thoughts, thinking forward and wanting to be married, I think it's important to share something. And I think finances would be one of those things, because it just shows that you trust in the relationship. It shows that you respect the other person to handle, what is something that you've worked hard for. Every day you work for your paycheck, your earnings, your livelihood. So when you are kind of putting that into someone's hands, I think it kind of helps build trust between the two of you, because I'm literally handing you something that I need to sustain myself. So it's important to me because I feel like it melds you together. You're joining together. You're joining forces, and you're not just doing what you want to do. Just, everybody's doing their own thing, because I think it just gives you freedom to now say, well, I want to do this, you want to do that, and it causes division. So I think it's important to have a plan of having a joint financial portfolio, if you will, so that way you can have something for the both of you, and plan things in your life, life goals, retirement, travel, and just kind of pull together and do the things that you want to do.
I like that. So what do you think about like separate accounts?
I think you can have a separate account for like petty cash, but I think like big purchases is my big thing, because
is it one of those things where you let him know that you have a side account, or is it
now you're talking
is secret account?
I would talk about it. I would ask the person how they would feel about, because it all comes down to respect. I would think okay. I would think that just talking about it would, I guess, get them into the mindset of, oh, you're not hiding something. So I think it's just communication on that one.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that. I feel like yeah.
Okay, this is where it gets legit. Sipping, tipping, and sipping.
Yours right here.
Clank.
Tipping and sipping. Go ahead. Hit us with the tips.
Like, you're never really prepared for anything. I mean, life happens, and I don't know. Like, I just watched the series The Undoing on HBO Max, and people change, and it's one of those things where you have to prepare yourself for the what if. I think, oftentimes we prepare with a plan B, but what about CD? It's like, what if plan B doesn't go through? You need to have your own stash, period. Now, in terms of sharing bank accounts, I think that is essential. I mean, I think that it's, one of those things where you guys should not have to ask questions, but yeah, I think
right, because he's like, I can't wait to get my thoughts in this.
Yeah, I don't care about
the money's there, like, rent, internet, whatever. But I mean, when it comes to, basic essentials, of course, the money's there. But your plan B, C, D, E, F, G,
H, I.
You gotta have a little
JK,
little...
LMNOP, yeah, LMNOP.
Right.
Wow. Okay. I'm not going to be no tiebreaker here. I refuse. I refuse to be a tiebreaker. But that is interesting. So I think a joint account is obviously essential when in that marital status, that marital relationship. But I've often heard different opinions and different feelings with no separate accounts are allowed, and yes, you can have a separate account allowed. And I do want you to jump in, but I'm there's always that battle between the two, and I think for further investigation, what is wrong with having a joint account for joint priorities, but having individual accounts for individual expenditures? What's wrong with that?
I think it definitely needs to be multiple accounts.
I agree. I wasn't like, just to recap, because I think we got another viewer, but the question was, should we? What was the question, Erica?
Don't worry about the viewers. You being viewed right now.
No, I'm just saying, like, joint and individual accounts, are they necessary? Thank you. So like I said, I feel like, yes, joint accounts should be necessary, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having a separate bank, a low-key bank on the side. You know what I mean? Just for a rainy day for yourself. Like, you have personal goals as well. I don't think you should just throw your whole life away because, your goals are just entangled in the other person. I think, like, you should also have room to do what you want to do, right?
And what you need to do when that time comes.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's one of those things where,
absolutely,
especially if you have children. I mean, realistically, this is a laughing matter at this time, but in a situation where you may have to, last conversation we talked about physical violence. We talked about things. Being codependent on someone in this day and age is just not a plus. I think that, cohabitating, being in a committed relationship, sharing the journey, being in a long-term relationship with someone is exciting. It's amazing. However, things happen, life happens, and you have to be prepared. So, is it fair or unfair? Life's not fair. It's just one of those things where, your safety net, your security, your cushion is there in the event of, just in case. We have insurance. Why wouldn't I have insurance in the event something happens?
Insurance in a bank account. Yes.
I'm just saying.
Right. But so are you saying that it's okay to have a separate individual account and a joint account, or are you saying that it's best that everything be joint and anything that may be emergency or a preferential necessity be discussed amongst both? Because there are some, since y'all like running around, I got good cardio.
Is that running around now?
There are women out there who do not want the separation of accounts to even exist. They want it to be all joint with a particular habit of entertaining their preferential interest. So they'll take care of priorities, be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get some stuff for the house. Oh my gosh. And
Not like that at all.
there's a bigger cap of the capital that's kind of missing. So it's okay. So we're saying it's okay to have joint accounts alongside separated accounts.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's cool.
Yes.
Yes.
I like it. Now I gotta add this piece. So is there an issue if you have the joint account and you're knocking out everything and your own personal account, let's say you're spending, buying your likes, your desires, your interests, that girl that looked fire, and hubby, is being very, very reserved and conservative, and you're running a little low on capital. Now, this has nothing to do with superiority or inferiority. This is just the basic idea. If he's not spending his capital, how do you feel? How do you feel when you're like, dang, I'm kind of running a little low, but I haven't seen him buy anything, and now he wants to do this big purchase? Do you hold him back from doing any kind of like transactions on the individual? I mean, because there are some that feel like their husband or their man or whatever should spend only according to their comfortability.
That's where the joint account comes in at, because I feel like that type of conversation is the reason why money is the leading issue in marriage, and even divorce. I don't feel like I need to come to you and ask, about domestic spending. If it involves home, you just mentioned a fridge, anything. I mean, that is what a joint account is for. And then that's also budgeting for.
Exactly.
You budget for your life's needs, your life's basic needs. But if in the event that your children or just, the house, anything circumstantial should arise, that is what that account is for.
Totally agree.
And if you have a savings account, I mean, you may have dual savings accounts. You may even have more than, 2 savings accounts. But I mean, to me, like when you sit down and say, okay, how do we want to strategize our money? If we want to travel, the just in case, the home, of course we have homeowners insurance and everything, but out of pocket expense. I mean, all of those conversations we sit down and we make, the strategy. But outside of that, I mean, there shouldn't be a conversation, oh my gosh, you haven't been doing this and that, that is why money is together, so that we can, when we make those purchases, it's even. So I love the way employers ask you, how much do you want to have direct deposited into an account? If we did 50% each, for one account, and then, in my case, I would prefer a man to pay the mortgage and to provide, I would pay for the utilities. I mean, that's the way I've been experienced to do it. What works for me may not work for some people.
Okay.
Then, from there, then you can discuss, everything else. Will this account include? If not, then it's like, do we build an additional savings account, for whatever that particular thing is? So it's all about communication. And then when you build that strategy, I don't feel like there's need for, all of the back and forth.
So with that foundation, are you technically saying that a man technically has to be able to make more than you? And I'm not saying that disrespectfully, but I'm saying that in the sense of, if your key requirement is he takes care of the mortgage and you take care of the utilities, mortgages will always outpace and outprice utilities. But that means that he has to make a certain amount to comfortably afford a mortgage. So does that mean that he has to make a certain amount in order for him to qualify and meet your lifestyle requirements?
I don't think it's a certain amount. You might fall in love with somebody who is just,
struggling because they pay in the mortgage, but they can't get you.
He ain't struggling in a lot of other areas, Not emotional.
It all depends on what you're looking for. I mean, some people don't want to date anybody who makes less than 7 figures. And I mean, some people aim so high to the sky, they're still alone. but everyone has their preferences because you know what type of lifestyle you want. Now, is it fair to say I'm going to just marry somebody because I want that lifestyle and they need to provide it? Who knows? I mean, if a man is willing to provide that for a woman, then take advantage in a good way. But you have to know what you also bring to the table, because not everything is about money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the wife will stay home and take care of the kids. Like, there's always a give and take and a balancing act that goes along with it. If that's the role, some women were working, they were bringing finances into the home, and then the husband is like, I don't want you to work anymore, I want you to stay home, take care of the kids. So now the responsibility is on him to take care of the mortgage. So you have that aspect too. But if you're just looking for somebody to just pay everything and just running after the bag and that's, this, that, the other, then that's a different conversation. But we're talking about actually mending your finances, marrying your finances together, where you're actually talking about the dynamic in the household. So
Yes.
Right. But that's a bit, but as optimistic as that sounds and as utopian as that sounds, it's not realistic. Because let's use real life examples. Let's eliminate the automation. Let's tips and drink.
I'm a drink with you on that because I got a side with you.
Yeah. So that sounds great. Now we're living in a day and age where, like you ladies used earlier, running around men, with your success, which is admirable, loving it. Still, there's still some minor kinks and quirks that you guys could take on and learn a little bit more, but that comes with knowing the game and how to maneuver through these rooms full of vultures, especially when it comes down to like negotiating pay. I'm a strong advocate in that women get paid what they get paid because they don't negotiate. They expect to get paid higher just because you're a woman. And that is unfortunate, but that is not what is processed in or programmed in men's mind, because even men negotiate their rates. So those are some of those tips and tricks by which women could also learn how to utilize and capitalize on those kind of business strategies. But I digress, and I ask that from a realistic standpoint, if you're looking to mend finances with your partner, this is where the roles come into play. And I challenge the role identities that women say they want in fairness, but also demand in finances. And I try to get some kind of clarity or understanding. So there's an equality piece. We get eliminating domestic violence and that whole 9 yards, because that's just pure foolishness.
right.
But when we look at the representation of being seen and valued as an equal, but the expectation, and I'm just going to continue to run off of Erica's example, not to say that's what she believes in, but that is a common historical expectation. It's if you want to pool in the funding into a joint account, but you want the man to carry most of the financial burden, but you want to be seen as equal. So my question is, eliminating the automated what you bring to the table, what is it that allows women to qualify themselves as an equal if the man is taking on more of the financial burdens than the woman?
Okay, so society right now, and this is where I get confused. Society right now is saying that men, their currency is how much money they make, how they look, how hard they go in the gym, the body. Women, it's their looks, it's their femininity, it's how graceful they are, how exuberant, how enthusiastic. Are you domesticated? Can I bring you home to my mom? Is she family oriented? There are so many complexities, but I think, realistically, it's one of those things where if I get with a person, for me, and I'm speaking for myself only, not a marriage therapist, I'm not a family marriage doctor or anything like that, a counselor. when I meet a person, I'm not judging off of looks alone. I'm judging off of how this person makes me feel, because I'm thinking long term, emotionally, do they complete me? Second, I'm thinking about, a lot of the things that are important to me. Are they God-fearing? That's very important to me, because I need this man to lead me and children, essentially. That is important. Third, is he honest? If he's not honest, we can't communicate, because I'm going to ask you questions, and I'm going to ask you hard questions at that. I start looking at things after that, like job title and how much a person makes. Why? Because yes, you do need a home to live in. You do need a car to drive, and you need the basic needs of life. At that point, it isn't important to me whether or not he makes 60,000 plus, 6-7 figures plus. It's more or less about how are we going to come to the table, combine incomes, and if he does make more, what does he expect me to contribute? Am I still going to be the Betty Crocker and expected to work? Right. Because a lot of successful women are still getting the college degree, making the money, and still coming home and doing the domestic duties. Yes. And now it's just kind of like, women are asking, why is it so expected of me to cook and clean and be mom, nurse, chef, stripper at home, and still be the breadwinner and, meet the demands of corporate America? Well, for me, going back, it's important to say, you know what, hey, look, what is going to work for us and what are our goals? If we sit here and we write down what our goals are and what's most important to us, we can create this strategy, this map that will allow us to create the budgeting that we need for each avenue that we want to take in our lives. I know for me, traveling is so important. If a man comes into the relationship and he's like, I have kids, I'm going to sit back. Wait, we need to talk. Right. I'm going to be compromising his income with my goals naturally, Absolutely. I have a child, but he's an adult. So, it's kind of like, it's that give and take. So there's so many narratives, but it's just really how you compromise and you figure out a strategy that works for you. Again, I'm not looking for the 6-7 figure guy that has all the money, because he can be a jerk. Correct. I'm looking for someone who emotionally completes me, who's God-fearing, who's honest, whom I can communicate with, and then we can figure out, let's look at finances and figure out if our goals will align based on who we are individually as people.
No, that makes absolute sense.
Well said, sister. Well said. I don't have anything to add or take away from that right there.
I get it. I get it. I definitely get it, and that meets your interests and your expectations. That makes absolute sense. So I'll say for me, my thing is I do understand the current environment where women have to be strippers, best looking thing ever, a chef, my Uber Eats driver. She got to be able to pick up my groceries, clean my house. Like I get that. That's the the mindset. But I'm not gonna lie. At least let me know you could do these essentials, not for me, but for yourself. Because one of my biggest pet peeves is stenches, and stenches usually comes from filth. And if you cannot clean, you're already cultivating that stench. Regardless,
like I'm done.
You know what I mean? I tap out, call stage left. So I get you. For when it comes down to the woman's role, for me, in my opinion, I'm not looking. I don't care for an equal. I don't care for someone that's greater than me. But I need actionable ambition. That's very, very important to me, because I don't. If you're a woman and you say you're God-fearing, you should know damn well that God doesn't make mediocrity. You're not mediocre, so don't stay mediocre. Don't give me if you're a God-fearing person and you love God, God made you to be greatness. So don't act mediocre. And don't act below your value neither. Because we're cognizant of that. But when it comes down to, the financial piece, know what the value of a dollar is. And know the value of certain things. I know these luxury products pop up all over the place. Name brands, Louis V, Gucci, all day B. I get that. But
yeah, that's true.
Unless you know the quality, unless you know the history, don't have a brand unity to it. Don't have a union to a brand that no history of. You know what I'm saying? Have some class. Have some class to you. Have some elegance. Have that, black woman bravado. Bump black girl magic. Black girl magic's for children. I respect that. But black woman elegance. Give me that, please. Please, financially be able to know the value of things. Be mindful of your bank account. I don't give a damn if you're trying to get the bag, but let's try to break the bank.
Can we
Let's
stop
try to
right
break
there
the
on
bank.
the bag? Because I have a question for you on this. When a man sees a woman with a Louis Vuitton bag, Christian Dior, she's walking in looking good. What is the first thing on your mind? Is it, oh my God, she's bad, whatever y'all say. But, if I approach her, this is a woman who enjoys the finer things in life. I'm going to need to afford those things. Is that a turnoff? Is that like an intimidation? Or is it just like not attractive?
Give her those things, like she brings value to, well, I guess maybe just off the first look. So never mind. What is your first thought?
So first, okay, so I'm separating myself from it. I'll give you the majority of men's perspective. So most men's perspective is when they see a woman who has exactly that description, the Louis bag or whatever, the Chanel bag, it's okay. She likes high quality things. Obviously, she must be attractive if she caught my eye. But she likes high quality things. She appears to like the finer things in life. So I need to gravitate to her because I can present more of what she's looking for so I can receive what I'm looking for. So because I see these particular products that she's wearing as her brand of what she represents and how she's strutting herself, I'm going to get her attention because what she is holding in a bag or maybe in red bottom heels or, Chanel pants or whatever the case is, if I got a Burberry sweat jacket on or I got a Gucci outfit on, she knows the brand. She knows who I am. My volume is speaking at the same level of her volume. We could communicate. We could connect. I can give her what she's looking for, and I could definitely get or extract what I want from her. That's that mentality of the present day generation of man. It's brand recognition, brand communication, but no spirit from within. That's me speaking now.
So it's not at all. Okay.
Yeah. So again, that mentality for them, it's brand recognition of I could communicate with that same type of quality because I could afford it. So I could speak her language because the language she's speaking to me is, if you can't afford this bag, you can't grab these bags, if you catch my drift. You know what I'm saying? That's that communicational mentality. Me, Leo, whatever, I'm looking at that and saying, you're too loud. Respectfully, you're too loud. And the loudest person in any room is always the weakest. You're too loud. Not my type. And that's just me. I'm very, very deep and unnecessary for great reasons. But to not dive into that analysis, I just say you're too loud. Not because you like the Chanel bag, but it's because you don't know what a Celine bag is. It's not the fact that you want a Hermes, the Hermes bag, the Kelly bag. It's the fact that you don't know anything about a Goyard. So I could speak that language and be very disrespectful and elite. But it's the mere fact that if that's what you're trying to do to draw my attention, your liabilities are too low volume for my investment capabilities. Just my personal opinion. But for others, they're like, I could speak that language. They could speak that language.
If you are in a relationship with a woman, let's say, married, because it's long term in life, lifelong, is it her responsibility to purchase her own toys with her own income outside of anniversaries, occasions, and you purchasing her a present? Is it important for her to purchase her toys if she wants the handbags?
Well,
for the man to do?
I'm gonna say this. I think a woman is more, for me, a woman is empowered to do whatever she pleases. If she wants to confidently purchase or afford any kind of luxury good that she wants, she's more than welcome to if we're in a relationship or marriage. One of the key philosophies that we will always operate by, and I'll make sure that's part of our communication, is we can enjoy the luxuries, but it only makes sense if we could afford it 3 times over. If you could afford that bag 3 times over,
yeah,
enjoy yourself.
Twice, you don't need it.
You know what I'm saying? Right. But if you got that nice check and you buy it and you come home and it's like, babe, let's go out to eat. And it's like, okay, cool, no problem. And then 4 days straight, yeah, let's go out to eat. Why are we eating out a lot?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? So again, I'm not the kind of guy who will shower my queen with gifts. I'm not that guy who will shower them with it.
It's her love language, though. What if gifts is her love language?
Aha.
Oh, best success to her. No, I'm playing. I'm playing. If receiving gifts is her love language, then she has to obviously understand my top love language, which is quality time. So it's going to be quality time. So I feel like top love languages should complement and be the equivalent of each other. So if she likes to receive gifts and that's her way of being loved, I'll present that to her, but it cannot come from a selfish or taking of an advantage perspective. Because again, if my responsibility is to take care of the mortgage and take care of all these other key priorities and also cater to your lifestyle while you're living your life of luxury, posting Snapchat and IG chat and all these things, and you're not contributing anything and you're burning me out, how is it fair?
Right.
How is it fair?
Yeah.
That's
You
true.
know, and it makes it even more challenging to where if I am burnt out and you're disconnecting from communicating with me because I'm no longer connecting with your number one love language because I'm trying to get your attention, now you may allow that dude who sees you with those gifts that either I showered you with or you showered yourself with, and they start catering to your lifestyle, and now we have a 3-way relationship that I was never signed up for. So receiving gifts for me is, I don't mind it. I love doing it because it comes from a genuine place. But if that's your love language, for you to feel like that's the only way I can communicate with you, just like astronomy and astrology, certain astrology signs just are not compatible. Me personally, if receiving gifts is your number one, I'm just not compatible with you because I don't think you would really, truly understand why I'm giving you this specific gift rather than you expecting a multitude of gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Or a gift with a certain price tag on it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. A certain price tag or a certain brand name that the recent rapper or rapess, let's be gender equal, rapess is talking about. You know what I mean? I can't even lie. I think there are solutions to this financial and role position there are solutions to it, but I think for us as a community, it's very challenging with the outside influencers dictating and reprogramming our minds to be more brand oriented rather than value oriented. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, trips, it's valuable. You know, going on trips is valuable. Spending quality time and, you know, going out to eat and maybe even cooking for you, that's valuable to you too. There's certain nuances that each and every individual has, and if you cater to that,
Right.
I don't see how you can clash from a financial or role representation. I just don't know how. You know, but
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying, and it ties in with that. You know, if I know that I like to purchase certain things, you know, that falls in line with, you know, what are some of the things that you like? You know, what are your goals? Let's
right,
envision a life. You know, it's like a vision board.
Right.
You know, it's like, you
yeah,
know, demonstrate to me the way you want your life to be, and what are some of the things that you would like to have, you know. um for me, again, you know, I want to, and this is getting more on the personal side, I would love to have more children someday, you know. And I
hmm,
know that in having a conversation with a partner, we would have to talk about, you know, how much money we would need to generate in order to have a family.
yeah,
You know, if you're going to travel and have children, you need to have a lot of money, you know.
yeah,
And it goes back to my question about things like handbags. Well, that's not important to me. I'm not really a label person, and I don't need the fancy purses and all that. Sometimes, you know, things like that are important to people, and it is a good question to raise. Do I need to build a life savings for, you know, the little things that I want here and there? Because, you know, whether I'm 40, 50, 60, material assets are important to me. You know, I have
yeah,
friends who, you know, just love to have the latest and the greatest. They're very trendy. They love all the labels. And it's like, you know, if that's your thing, that's cool. But I mean, for me, I wouldn't expect a guy to afford those things for me, those luxuries. If it's a present, then cool. But I mean, now it's just like, I'm thinking about the times we're in, and that's just not important to me. You know, it really isn't. So I guess, again, it's just all what's important to that individual.
Right.
I'm gonna jump in with what you just said. So I agree with you, and I think it's, to me, I find it quite humorous that the very individuals that are labeled dedicated are the same people that have the trashiest or the lowest self-esteem. I mean, it is what it is. I
I
mean,
agree.
because think about,
Value
think about it,
behind
and
those
maybe
Need validation.
validation. Yeah.
exactly, you need validation to do the fulfillment by which you have emptiness of.
Right.
You know, so, and that's why I say respectfully,
Mm-hmm.
those two types of individuals that need that brand recognition to constantly be in public, and that dude who's like, I gotta be brand up, whoop de whoop. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I need my polo fitted and my Gucci shoes, my Gucci flip flops. You know, and that's fine if you're comfortable in it. That's you, but that ain't you. That ain't you. And
Right.
I'm just keeping it real. These luxury labels really didn't really make these clothes for you. They just made it because they knew this was the easiest way they could take your money.
Mm-hmm.
Louis Vuitton is not known for making clothes. They specifically make travel trunks. I'm telling you, if people did their history research on these companies, it might be a different story, but I digress from that. But yeah, it's just interesting though, how people validate themselves through the brands that they wear rather than
Absolutely.
self-validation and growth.
Yeah.
So then with that being said, like, what should be, and obviously this is opinionated, but based upon your philosophies, what should be the woman's role these present days in a relationship? Jolon, go. What do you think a woman's role should be these days?
Uh,
Yeah, orange.
I, well, the Bible says that he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and that the woman was created to be a helpmeet to her husband. And to me, helpmeet means whatever the man cannot do as a manly way, the woman should make up for. Because a lot of times nowadays men are taught from a young age how to cook, how to fend for themselves. Because I'm teaching my son how to kind of fend for himself. He knows how to cook some things. He can wash his own clothes. He can iron. He can clean.
Nice.
Teaching him just life skills, just for him, just being. There'll be a time where he's a bachelor, and so he just needs to know how to take care of himself as a male. However, when he, grows up, gets married and is out there making, a living, and he is joining himself now to a wife, again, it just depends on what dynamic they want to have, because there are households where the men cook, the women don't cook, not because they can't, but sometimes it depends on who's stronger. I know men who cook better than their wives, and so they take on that role to be the chef in the house. The woman will cook sometimes, just to give the man relief. But if you're the better cook, why not? So I feel like it's more so of a partnership, because I feel like cleaning a bathroom shouldn't just be a woman's job, or vacuuming, washing the clothes shouldn't be a woman's job. I think nowadays it's more so shared, in terms of that it's not overwhelming to just one person. Because like Erica was saying early, in this day and age, women are going to work, and we've been going to work, but I'm saying the bulk of the load, especially at home, shouldn't just fall on the woman because she is a woman, where women were expected to cook and clean, stayed home to do that back in the 50s and 60s or whatnot. Now we're in a totally different time. So I think the definition of gender roles and the role of a woman have changed. Now it's becoming who can do what when. You know what I'm saying? If you're home and to get dinner started, we got kids and they're coming home from school. If you get home first, why not start dinner? Why not be the one to get the ball rolling? I'll come in. If the woman comes home later, I'll come in and clean up the dishes, or, it's just jumping in and fitting in and helping where you can. So I think taking off those like titles to say, well, women should do this, men should do that. I think it should just be partnership, and let's see where we complement each other. Who's stronger where, depending on what time you come home, get dinner started, and those types of things. I think it'll just kind of eliminate I'm over you versus you're under me type of deal.
And just to piggyback off what she said, I mean, you may have, right now we're, like I mentioned earlier, we're in a pandemic, and there are so many men who are unemployed, you know, even. And there's a fine line with, a man's ego and respecting his headship. Okay. So if he's.
You thirsty, Jolon?
Yeah, let me just.
Right. So if that man is home and he has to assume his responsibility, that being his house and his children, and the woman is working, I mean, it's one of those things where you cannot suppress, his spirit, his ego, with comments like, well, I clean this house 7 days a week, and what have you been doing all day? This may be his way of cleaning. This may be, it's just one of those things where, it's give and take. And really the relationship is what matters, what comes first. So it's really, again, like I said earlier, it's about building that communication and that journey that works for you both. I mean, life is going to happen. There's going to be ups and downs naturally, but I think it's just more or less about you in that person, and just in really finding your own harmony, your melody, your own note, your own key, your own song.
That's it.
But
We in the water. Yeah.
Some people are drowning in the water because they don't communicate. They have no structure. They don't have any type of
so many scenarios.
Like agreements. Well, I thought you were cooking tonight. I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't always have to be so black and white and so down the list, but have some type of idea of what you're bringing to the table too. You know what I mean? That can help, because even if you order takeout, hey, I've taken care of the meal for tonight. You don't necessarily have to cook, but just doing those things to help alleviate some of the stresses of home life for the other person, I think you've accomplished something.
Interesting. So I got to ask this question. I've had a variety of different answers on this.
Uh-oh.
Going out to eat with your partner, or just going out to eat with your partner. Bill comes.
Sure.
Who pays for what and who pays for what?
See, that's that question
I said that
again.
twice on purpose. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, who pays for what?
Yep.
Who pays? Okay, we're starting from the very beginning. A guy asks the girl out on a date, he is paying. Period. You got to show me you got the money.
Yeah, the person who asks is the person who
You're
takes.
supposed to pay.
But
Now, I've heard of these things
I didn't
too.
know that. Really?
Yes, the person who, well, that's the general rule. But then I've also heard, even if a guy asks you on a date, as a woman, you should offer to pay.
Yeah.
And of
'cause, I
course,
mean,
he's going to tell you
offer.
no. But I'm kind of on the fence with that, because it's like, why offer? Like I'm with you, Leo. If you ask me on a date, why would I offer to pay?
No, not the first time, but if I notice that we've gone out, 3-4 times.
No, I'm talking about the first time.
Okay.
That
yeah.
the offer
totally.
should it's just
Totally.
to kind of see,
That's a gesture.
to say that, oh, well, I'm not just here for a free meal, but that's counterproductive to me.
Mm-hmm.
It takes the role of a man asking a woman out, the dynamic of him asking a woman out, it kind of takes it away from him. You know what I mean? Now, again, if you've been on several dates, I think it's okay to offer to pay and say, hey, I got it this time. Once you kind of establish some type of a relationship, there's nothing wrong with that. But the first date, no, definitely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so fast forward.
And bring dessert too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
She's both. I don't do that.
I don't do that. I mean, if he says it's okay to get dessert, I go with the vibe. I'm not gonna go order the whole menu, a steak, and I don't eat meat and this, that, the other, wine, and I don't drink. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna order within reason. And if he's like, if you would like dessert, you can order that. Then I'll go ahead and make a decision at that point. But just being mindful. But again, if this guy asks me out on a date, it means that he's willing to offer to pay for my meal. That's the whole point of us going to have dinner, to go talk and get to know each other better. So
I'm usually like, I'm not really, I love savory sweet, but I'm more or less like, would I like to have a glass of wine with my dinner? I'm not going to do all three. I'm going to be very respectful. And even if he was, 6-7 figure guy, like, I'm just respectful. Like, I'll get my dessert after this or whatever, but I either pick one or the other.
Yeah.
Because I put it in my mind where I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to stay below $50 or $75, depending on the restaurant, 2, 3, 4, whatever star. But I like to keep it in moderation.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be advantageous. I don't want to take advantage of his gesture. We're getting to know one another, and it's a process. So that's important to me. It's just a respect, and it's an art,
Comments always come back, in just small talk or just joking. I took this girl on this date and she ordered all this.
First of all, woman.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they say. But, and it's just like they give you the rundown of how, maybe they couldn't afford. I don't know. If you don't have money, you shouldn't date anyway.
Thank you.
That's like the bottom line of the bottom line. But it's true. It takes money to date. Now, there are things that are free, but at the same time, dating is a financial game. It's not a free thing. Like, we can find things to do that are free, but it's going to take some money, because if you want to travel,
you're interviewing me. You're vetting me.
Yes.
As a potential for your life.
Absolutely.
Long term.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So if you can't afford the things that the basic needs,
investments,
why are you wasting your time inviting me into your life?
You can't even buy
a man is a protector. He is a provider.
Absolutely. Security comes with
those.
And
a woman?
Right.
But when I look to that man, I'm his wife. I have to listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
He calls all shots. So, I mean, where there are substitutions, there is help, there is an assistant.
Absolutely.
This is the president, the chief. Like, you gotta
Chief
talk
of
to him.
staff,
Yeah.
I'm staff, chief of staff. So yeah, absolutely. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay,
But,
okay.
You know what I mean.
Don't let me demote you. That's your position. You got that. You got that, chief of staff.
Chief of staff. And
I do have a question, however. I'm going to set up this scenario. Wife and husband go to a dinner party, and the husband is not really up there with his wife. So it's like, hey, what do you guys do? Like, it's starting off with the wife. Like, what do you do? Oh, well, I'm a project manager, for this and such top-notch company. Move over to the husband. What do you do? Gasp. Sigh.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Pause.
In that moment, Leo, what is a man feeling if he can't meet up to that title and that dollar sign?
He feels emasculated.
Oh.
He feels.
Yeah.
He feels devalued.
Mm.
He feels unwanted, and he feels very concerned that his representation is at jeopardy. His representation with who he is, his representation with who he is to his wife or spouse, but he's also concerned about what he is in the relationship and what happens afterwards. These are things that, I'll be honest with you, I think they're universal more than they are just specifically men. I know it's pretty common with men to kind of showcase a more emotional frustration when they can't boast, brag, or take great pride in what they do because they're not doing anything at that present moment, or it may not be on the level of that environment. But I do think that it's universal, because if you flip that event on its own head, where it could be the man is, program manager, and they're at a company event, the Christmas parties that used to happen before COVID, pre-COVID, and lady is there, and she, people are like, wow, your wife is beautiful, this, that, and the third. Oh, she dresses nice. Like, yeah, she's an amazing woman. Babe, I'm about to go rush to the bathroom. You need anything when I come out? I promise I'll wash my hands, whatever. And she'll be like, oh, okay, babe, I'll hold the port down. And then she starts engaging in conversations with people that are like, so what do you do? Mm-hmm. And she may feel that same feeling, or she may just say, oh, I work here, I'm a retail associate or something like that, or a sales associate or whatever. And she may not feel valuable because everybody around her, they're like, oh, so you sell clothes. Like, when people do that, when they like try to break down your status into like something that's,
you seem small.
Yeah. It's like yeah, they downgrade it to a basic biatch. You know what I mean? So
okay.
They break it down to, oh, so you do basic biatch stuff. Okay. Fair enough.
Belittling shouldn't be in the equation. I feel like whatever people do is valuable.
Yeah.
Being a teacher, being a janitor, being a garbage man, those things that we don't like, we laugh about, those people are also important in society, period. Everybody can't be top tier, top notch, own their own company. It's just not how the world is going to work. Everybody can't do that.
And that's exactly why I was saying before, I don't judge a man off of his income, because that man could love me so good. And I get with the guy who gives me all the security, and it's like, I'm so unfulfilled.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I need that happy median.
I feel like Being
and
true
that
to
feeds
yourself.
into, no, I'm sorry, but I was going to say that feeds into your love language of what you're saying, Erica. And go ahead, proceed, Jolon.
Thing is just being true to yourself and knowing what you want out of life. And money isn't everything, and I can't stress that enough. Money is essential, but it's not everything. People have everything as far as money, and they still are unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
They're still unhappy. They're not in a good mental space a lot of the time, and they have the world, quote unquote, which they have all their bank accounts and all this investments and all this intact and all of that stuff, but they still feel empty inside because their life is not filled with joy and happiness and peace, and just the little things, taking a moment to smell the roses along the way. They just are. A lot of money causes a lot of stress too, because you have to constantly think, okay, who's after me, who wants what I have, and now you have to live in all these gated communities to get away from
We're
certain
also in
people.
the social media world, so
Absolutely.
you're showing all this stuff you have, and then we're going out of town, or
Yeah.
people are watching you. So
Exactly.
it's a lot.
It's a lot to deal with, and I
It
feel
is.
like again, being true to yourself and knowing what fulfills you will make you the happiest person, and joining with a partner, because you don't have to be with anybody, but if you choose to join with somebody and you say, you know what, I want to feel fulfilled with someone, you will be looking at the qualities that they have at the end of the day. Can they make me laugh? Can we have good conversations? Are we awkward around each other? Can we laugh at stupid little things?
Do I have to walk on eggshells with him?
Do I have to walk on eggshells with him?
Is he always absent because a man with money has no time?
Right.
Is he always present because all he has is time because he's broke?
It
and
should be
playing
a balance.
video games. And,
right.
So,
it should be a balance.
Happy median. Happy median.
Absolutely.
That's really interesting that you guys provide a lot of those examples, because those are common examples, common expressions, common comments made by a lot of women, and those types of women are yearning for the appropriate attention, the appropriate fulfillment, the appropriate satisfaction. And the men are, they're trying to chase whatever money or bag or whatever, because they feel like that's what the women are looking for. And there's that clash of what is it that will attract this woman, or what will attract this man. And everybody, I'm not gonna say everybody's confused, but a lot of people are really confused.
Because they go by what they see. They go by, well, if I have this amount of money, I can get these things, and we were talking about that earlier. So by having these things, I'm looking for validation. It's like this cycle. Life is not very, like you said, nothing new under the sun. So it's like this cycle, the bigger the better, where people have it in their mind. I got to get more. And now there's pressure on the partner. Well, what if he can't afford a Louis bag? Now you're the scum of the earth. You're nothing to me. You're I don't know. You just can't fulfill that for me. So then it turns into arguments. Like, well, that person has this and you can't afford that for me. So you're a bum and this, that, the other. And that person, that guy could be a really good person. Like have good values, be a good family man, be a good father figure, be a good father.
I think for me, it's like, whenever I am on, a first date, or just, an initial meet and greet, it doesn't even have to be a date. I'm just an open book. Like for me, I don't like small talk. It's more or less like, who are you and what do you want?
Yes.
I'm very candid. I share details about myself so that you can see the elaborate colors, of my soul and know who I am as a person. And then, if you can match that, and then it's like, hey, let's bounce this phase two. Let's get to know if, we can intermingle and exchange ideas, and if we just vibe, and, we can, share a life and become friends, and we, like the same things. And I think that makes that cohesiveness better, because then you just start, figuring out like, hey, I really like this person. I can rock with them. It's not really about, oh my God, I think he's the one, and I just got to see if this will fit, or if he's like this. That's too much. I don't like that. I don't like that process. But with money, I think again, it's one of those things that it is fragile, but when I see an attractive man who feeds my soul, that's priceless. Nothing can equate to that.
Absolutely.
Nothing can equate to that, because it makes me want to clobber him. And then I'm like, you know what? I can make some supplementation after that. If you're coming at me with $50,000-$60,000 a year, I mean, there are some men who even make $40,000 a year. It's just more or less about, well, how do we make it work based on what you want and what I want? It's really about sharing your life with someone who's just uniquely beautiful and who is your match. And I think that in itself is the winner, the breadwinner.
The breadwinner at the end of the day.
I've got one concluding question. I know we're coming up on our hour. I wanted to definitely ask this question. Power in taking the last name. Once you are married, is it important for a woman to take a man's last name?
The politically correct answer is it's, some cultures, I know in the Latin culture, they actually take on the man's last name, but I think it's like their maiden mother or father's last name. So they have the Enriquez Garcia's type of last name.
Back to the U.S. culture, though.
I mean, that's in the U.S. still. You know what I mean? Shout out to my Puerto Ricans, and, you know what I mean? My Dominican Repole, you know what I mean? So yeah, I know, I'm familiar. But is it important for them? I mean, listen, I'm not sticking to this whole concept of what is traditional and what isn't. I understand what is and what isn't. Listen, my last name, whatever, is classic. And if you don't want to take on whatever, it's whatever. It's whatever.
That's your real last name? Oh my goodness.
That's dope, right? That's dope, right? Whatever. Exactly. So
you just want to sample it out. I'm not, fly.
That is
but so I mean, it's like whatever, So if you go with whatever, then it's whatever. You know what I mean? So huh? No, I didn't catch that. I'm sorry. Run that back.
You wouldn't want to be Leo Mason? Like you wouldn't take your wife's last name?
I always wondered, as a man, can you do that? And if you do, does that make you less of a man? I don't listen. I was born on this earth. I know nothing, so I'm just learning a bunch of stuff.
You and I were getting married, and we have this in-depth conversation about this subject. And I come to you and say, Dave, you know what? I really cherish my last name. Here's why. Would you accept the honor of having my last name?
Wow. So generally speaking, that sounds very masculine or masculated. It sounds very masculated because it's like you're asking, it's almost as if the woman is asking for you to submit yourself to the legacy of where you came from and to remove mine. You see what I'm saying? So it's challenging. It's challenging. Now, me personally, if it made sense for fun, I would take on Mason whatever. Or whatever Mason. That job be dope. It's Mason whatever. That job is whatever. You know what I mean? So it's pretty dope. But I think naturally though, a woman wanting to keep her last name for legacy purposes, for ancestry, is completely understandable and completely acceptable in my personal book. But if she's asking me particularly to take on her last name, respectfully, I would decline.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you would decline. Okay.
Respectfully, I would decline.
Okay.
So you
because
mentioned there that if she wanted to keep her last name, would you ask that she hyphenate it, or you would allow her to just keep it in general and not even take on your last name?
I would, to be brutally honest, I would leave that to her. And I'm probably like one of the worst male examples in the sense of giving royal elite power to my queen, because I want my queen to have full autonomy of what she can do in her life. And that to me is a part of the power couple structure, giving her full autonomy of what she can do, especially in decisions like that. I do personally think that if she wanted to keep her last name, she would, but I just have this confidence level. It's not arrogance or cockiness, but I have this confidence level that she would probably hyphenate it just so that she can keep her name, but she would want to naturally carry on mine and then have it passed down to a children.
Restaurant, it's like table 4. Oh,
Yeah.
Mason and Cave.
Yeah. Cave is a dope last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cave is a dope last name. It's not whatever though. It's not whatever though. Cave.
I like this conversation. This is really, really, really insightful. So for our solution time, Jolon, what do you gather from finances in the roles?
So I gather from finance, just to recap, joint accounts are a must in my book. It just, again, solidifies the trust in a marriage and joining your life as far as, your household, everything. So finances are just one of those aspects where I feel like having a joint account, creates honesty, trust, things. It opens the door for communication so that you're on one accord. Like, it kind of helps you stay focused on the goals that you both have together. Yeah. And then the second thing is with the gender roles, again, like I was saying earlier, just complement each other. Where one is weak, the other may, where one is lacking, the other may have that strength, and just work together, to be a cohesive unit. It's not going to be perfect, but you're learning as you go along, what each other's strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes you can even work on your weaknesses and be better and just, flip things around, or, just to make the household fun and happy and a joyful place, and not a place of dissension and arguments and things like that. Just to have more fun in life, doing life with someone else, because you don't want to have that stress every day. You don't want to have to dread going home because, oh my gosh, I left the dish.
That block, like
I left the dish in the kitchen on the counter in the sink, and husband can't wash dishes, like, or even put it in the dishwasher. It's really not that simple. We have kids, and I'm getting, and is somebody to just order takeout if you can't cook, or whatever the case may be. But it's just not putting everything on one person. It's sharing the responsibility. So that's my thoughts on finances and gender roles.
Leo?
Interesting. Great words of wisdom. This one touches home to me because finances are very, very important.
They are.
There's a biblical scripture that, and I'm always going to be very transparent whether people like it or not. There's a biblical verse that people misquote massively. And it's the quote that says, "The love of money is the root of all evil." And people immediately misunderstand that quote because they immediately think money is the root of all evil. No, it's the love.
Thank you.
And the love of money is the definition of greed.
Yep.
So greed is the root of all evil because it's an implementation of pridefulness, ego, and recklessness towards lusts. So to me, finances is very, very important in that communication is key. You have to be open with your communication. I remember I had a conversation with my dad once upon a time ago, and he had said, Did you know that it's easier for a couple to run down the street butt naked than for them to sit down and show each other their credit score and what's in their present current bank accounts?
Wow.
I said, stop it, sir.
Why? Like all of
Stop
it
it, sir.
there.
It is easier for a couple to run down a street than for them to sit down, show their credit scores, and show what's in their bank accounts. And that was so prolific to me because it forces communication, but it also exposes you way further than your nudity because it's showing your behavioral patterns of how you are with that person and when you're not with them. It's one of the ultimate skeletons.
Relationship with money in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's one of the biggest skeletons that exposes you. And I say that to say the importance of finances and having that communication. And as you said earlier, Erica, with building a strategy, and as you mentioned, Jolon, is being open and communicating and not holding each other accountable for representation, to me is important to sitting down and understanding what's going on so that you can better create your own roles in your own relationship.
Thank you.
Bump what the culture says, bump what this history says, bump what that old family says. You two are together to create your own destiny. That's what I say.
We were clanking too, but tips.
Tipsy on drinky, okay? So yeah, that's what I say. Communicate on your finances and create your own representational roles in your own relationship.
You stole my entire comment, so we don't even have to go into what I have to say. That was it right there.
Right there.
Listen, guys, tonight was amazing.
Yes.
I enjoyed this conversation so much. So much. Leah, we love you.
Love y'all too.
I'm so excited about our next, oh my God, March 20th is our live event. Our dinner evening, we're coming together for an amazing dinner night, a dinner party where we have a in-person, face-to-face, in-depth discussion. I'm excited about this.
That's going to be amazing.
That's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. Getting together with the fellas to see, and other ladies to see what's going to transpire as far as conversation. That's going to be great.
Look at Leo's face.
I'm just like I said, I'm gonna always be transparent. I'm paying for my own check and tipping my own. So I'm on a date with myself, okay? I'm tipping to that.
All right.
Listen, thank you so much for the conversation, Leah. We love you so much. And to all our viewers, whether you're watching tonight or you're watching later, thank you for tuning in to What Women Want, What Men Want series. If you have not already, follow us over at Instagram and Facebook and our YouTube at www.mw series. And we look forward to seeing you guys on March 20th. Tune in and we will see you then. Good night, guys.
Bye.
Night, Leo.